First of all, no one has gone outside of the Earth and taken a picture. No one. That's a fallacy, okay? I was a leading technologist at NASA. I engineered a number of technologies during my tenure at Goddard Space Flight Center. So we put a data collection, a ground station down there in McMurdo. I did. I personally went there. I designed a robotic tape array to collect the data.
What happens when a man goes on shows claiming his past proves the Earth is flat? Well, flat earthers lap it up without question.
I'm sure you guys would agree that if you're planning something like Walt Duffy's trying to plan, and then someone that used to work for NASA for a few years actually did engineering for supposed satellites and stuff, comes and says, yeah, it's actually flat. It's not a globe. I think it makes you think.
Absolutely.
That would take me off guard as well.
Yeah. Well, we've spoken to Dave personally. He's a good friend of Michael's. He's been on Flatz's. He's been on Michael's. He drops by mine every now and again, and he knows what he's talking about, Luch, without a doubt.
Unlike them, I am here to reveal the truth from reality's perspective. A perspective flat earthers hate, and therefore we are diving into how flat earthers will believe anything to back up their outrageous claims. They parade this guy around in their debates, insisting he was an engineer, held major positions, and even worked for 6 months in Antarctica. But what's the real story? Let's find out. Meet Dave Beverley, also known as Jesus Freak Computer Geek on YouTube. He is a biblical flat earther who uses his NASA background to make people listen to him. But really, he is just a musician and a tech supporter at most.
I say, brother, Pastor Will, I'm not trying to discourage you in what you're about the endeavor you're taking on, but I do understand, and I see that there's a lot of information that you don't have. And being that I've actually been to Antarctica and I worked for NASA, okay, for 12 years, and the people like to say I cleaned the toilets. It's not true. I have cleaned toilets in my own house, surely, but nonetheless, I was a leading technologist at NASA. I engineered a number of technologies during my tenure at Goddard Space Flight Center. Anyway, and that's what took me to Antarctica, was a technology that I put together.
He repeats this information to show he has authority because he worked at NASA. By doing so, he commits the false authority fallacy. Even if he did work there and did what he claims, his experience in NASA is not relevant to the shape of the Earth. Let's dig deeper into his past, which he doesn't even tries to hide, maybe because he knows flat earthers are too gullible to check simple facts, even to go on his LinkedIn. First of all, he has no relevant education. He earned a bachelor's degree in music production, which has nothing to do with engineering. To engineer things, Mr. Beverly would need a Bachelor of Science, not music degree. So he claims he didn't clean toilets at NASA. So who did clean toilets? Just joking. After university, he joined the army and became a tech supporter. After the army, he joined NASA. So what did he do in NASA for 12 years? He was system administrator and info system security office. Basically means he did stuff like engineering support, managing network, providing passwords, configuring routers and firewalls, simple basic stuff which anyone can learn and doesn't require any type of thinking. His bio even states that he provided troubleshooting, diagnostic, and problem solution for computer hardware. So again, no communication, no engineering, no nothing. This man haven't designed anything in his lifetime. He doesn't have the knowledge nor the experience to do so. Yet he continues to go to shows and lie about it. And really, there is no reason for lying. You could have told you worked in NASA and did tech support.
So, and there are a lot of so-called polar orbiting spacecraft. So the reason I went down there is because the Antarctic interior had no map imagery. It had no data. Okay. Well, why would that be? According to what they would say, is that we don't have any way to get the signal from the spacecraft as they're going over the South Pole. Okay. Now, again, that's we all believe this. I believed it too. Okay.
Right.
So we put a data collection, a ground station down there in McMurdo. I personally went there. I designed a robotic tape array to collect the data. And since I designed the system and put it together, they sent me down there to do it. Okay. That's why I was there.
Today, he still works as IT manager and a musician. So he has zero relevant ability to give opinions about NASA or anything. Being a tech supporter in any company, you may be exposed to the product, but it doesn't mean you understand the engineering behind them, and it doesn't mean you can go and claim you engineered something. Now that we know who are we dealing with, we can better review the interview David had with Will Duffy, the founder of The Final Experiment, and Christian Rapper Flat Earther, the guy that mods this discussion. Pay attention to how Will reacts. This is exactly the smart way to put those clowns in their place, and I agree with him.
Yeah. So just to be clear, after you left NASA and had your kind of light bulb moment, did you then reject that space is real?
Actually, that came after more research and more realization that the scriptures, okay? And so there is no such thing as outer space. And look, simple physics, the most rudimentary physics, we have the second law, what's called the second law of thermodynamics. It's the transfer of energy. We use it almost every day, especially here in the Keys. That's the air conditioner, okay? So it's impossible for a pressurized system to butt up against a vacuum. It's impossible. Oh, they say, well, it's gravity that holds the atmosphere. No, it's impossible, okay? And that's how we get weather. Otherwise, all of our weather would be straight out into the vacuum. It would be a high wind going straight out, and it would be short-lived.
Any systems or a mechanical engineer, heck, any engineer knows thermodynamics and knows that in order for the rules to work, you need enclosed system. Fluffers don't understand the Earth is not enclosed system, and they love to complain about vacuum, which they don't understand gravity holds it, and complain about thermodynamics. I don't know why they just try to sound smart, but this is another important key to show this guy is a phony and a moron, and he just parrots any flat earth stupid claim out there. So we will stick to the juicy ones just to get his biblical cosmological perspective and not debunk the ones that repeat each time.
In 2016, I had a revelation. It was presented on the internet, of course. People were starting to say the Earth is flat and enclosed, and I laughed. I'm like, oh, really?
Wow.
Nonetheless, once I started examining it, I went, whoa, that explains a lot of things that I experienced at NASA. And so we were putting these ground stations. I had engineered a system that was very relatively inexpensive. We had a 3-meter dish that would ingest in real time satellite data from GOES. we used to process that in software, and in software it would map. So we would map that to a globe in software. Now, I never thought about that when I was at NASA. Why would you question that, right? But when this whole idea of, wait a minute, the world is not what we've been told, then I realized, wait a minute, why would we need to map imagery around a globe, around a ball shape in software? Why would that need to be done?
Stuff that simply amazes me. You map your picture of the globe to a globe because in reality, it's a globe. Amazing! Huh? Did you think of that?
So what you find is all the imagery that we see, and we've heard the guy, it has to be photoshopped, right? You've heard that guy, right? It's photoshopped because it has to be. Well, in my case, it was the real data, the raw data sets were mapped to a globe because it has to be. I have a book out called The Coming Flood of AI, The Rise of the Nephilim Spirits. Do you know, you ever heard the term Nephilim?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Genesis
So
6.
in that book, I demonstrate how artificial intelligence is directly connected to the flood of Noah's day, okay?
Wow.
And we've been dealing with the outcome of the flood of Noah's day with the demonic spirits, disembodied spirits, since the flood. And that artificial intelligence is the ultimate dealing with the demonic powers of darkness.
Beside lying about engineering and what he did in NASA, he decided to sell a book about AI, which clearly he has no idea about, and to open a website about many different weird conspiracies. And for the final blow, he tried to break some select of conspiracies in one presentation.
That the medical system is not designed to heal you. The education system is not designed to help you actually think and understand, right? And scientism is not actually designed to help us understand how the world works. No one has seen an orb or a planet around a distant star. No one.
To Antarctica to see with their own eyes and to document whether or not there's a 24-hour sun. So that's what the final experiment is. We will be going to Antarctica this December, which is the southern summer, to see if there's a 24-hour sun or not.
Having really spent a lot of time in this, and also having actually worked in the realm of the other camp, right? You're not going to open the floodgates in the world of understanding. And I'm not trying to discourage you. What I'm warning you, okay, is that this is going to be something that's going to be edifying for yourself and those who might hear you only.
First, we get a silly warning from the flat earther. Then we continue again with the lies.
First of all, no one goes to Antarctica just traipsing around. It does not. It's a lie. These guys that go to Antarctica and they say they go to the interior, that's totally foolishness. The entire world has a what's it called? What do you call it when you make agreements? Like, well, the
Treaty.
Treaty, yeah.
Yes, the Antarctic Treaty. Duh, Dave. Anyway, so look, the entire world has had this treaty in place since the 1950s. No one goes down there and just goes exploring. And not only that, it's beyond dangerous. Okay, it's not some place that's very forgiving at all. That said, the only way that I got to go to McMurdo and I got to go any deeper into the ice is because I worked for NASA. National Science Foundation approved my going down there. We had a purpose to go down there. Military transport. By the way, I don't know what you're flying, but there's no windows in the plane. You sit in survival gear, wrapped up in like a fishnet seating, and you're stuck there the entire flight. It's miserable. Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I'm being told we're flying on a 757 with windows.
Awesome.
Okay, that's cool. But the only people I know that land civilians type planes, civilian purpose planes, is the Russians.
Will Duffy just broke your lie? Why do you continue lying? Why?
Because I'm a biblical cosmologist. We're thinking that the sun, even in a flat Earth design, when you see the models, like that picture you have in your background, that the sun and the moon just goes in these clockwise circular motions, and they move in different different areas. So that's how we get our seasons, right? And that's actually not how it works. And we do have historical accounts, I like to call what we call the apocryphal books, hidden, that describe like chambers and different aspects of how that whole system works. But again, it's a spiritual realm system.
I just want to talk to you about your time in Antarctica.
Okay.
So were you at McMurdo the whole time you were there, or did you go to other areas?
I was mostly in McMurdo.
Okay.
We went out on the ice. I went to other
Yeah. Sorry, just real quick. So, do you remember what months you were at McMurdo?
Here's the funny thing is I've quoted myself as being down there at a wrong time because it was my daughter, our baby daughter is now 18. It was before she was born. So I said I was in there 2007 before. First of all, you don't go in the winter months, okay? And so if the weather's inclement, you don't go in and you don't come out, period, right?
Yeah.
So I honestly, I traveled so much back. I know it sounds like, well, really, you went to Antarctica, you don't remember? I traveled so much that it was just the job. It was just a job that I didn't want to do.
If someone gets the opportunity to go to such a trip from work, he will remember what months he was there. Personally, I was sent to engineering jobs 5 years ago and I still remember what month was there. So why doesn't he? Why does he have to tell stories and change the subject?
Besides, I was working in a radome in a room with a bunch of gear ingesting satellite data. Okay. What I do remember is it being twilight almost every time I was outside.
All the people at NASA are in on it. There's a huge overlap, obviously, with quote unquote flat Earth and this. And so it's unavoidable to occasionally mention it. But I know a former NASA employee, actually he was even stationed in Antarctica. He's a flat earther and he's coming on my show soon, so I won't reveal too much. But you know, it's a misconception that people at NASA either know that the Earth is flying through space and space travel is real, or they're lying. That isn't how it works. They just do their job. They do their job. It's called compartmentalization. It would be very, very ineffective if they didn't do that. So just so you know, I know multiple NASA employees that are flat earthers. So you put that together for me.
Are you the guy that Austin Whitsitt refers to frequently?
I think I am, but I don't know where he's getting 6 months from because it was only a few weeks.
Okay.
I wanted to clear up. Huh?
I wanted to clear up. Yeah, I hear people saying. I've heard a few people actually say that the guy who worked for NASA was in Antarctica. Anyways, that's why I wanted to clear up a few things because I believe they're talking about David Beverley, Jesus Freak Computer Geek.
Yeah.
I believe it has to be. I don't know any other NASA employee that's a flat earther that went to Antarctica.
Right.
But I wanted to clear up a few things. Before, so that if when people are mentioning that, I guess we would have to, because they never say your name. They always say that the
Right.
flat earther that was in Antarctica.
Yeah.
So I didn't know,
Okay.
and it
We're
could
not-
be somebody else. So
Yeah.
Whitsitt gets it. If it's somebody else, I apologize. Or
Yeah,
David
me
Weiss,
too.
if it's somebody else, I apologize. But this is the only guy that I know that I've been talking to for
Yeah.
I've known for 3 years.
In this map, even our flat Earth model, even if, in my mind, if you were to find a 24-hour sun, doesn't necessarily prove that we're on a globe. By the way, I have a video. I'm not going to bother you guys with showing it right now. I have a video of a 24-hour sun that a guy had put out back in 2019. I have it right here on my computer. And it shows the camera spinning for 5 days, and it shows the sun, and it looks seamless. There's not a date time counter. That would have been nice. But here's the thing. From what we understand of the globe Earth, let me stop. Of the globe Earth, it's tilted at a 24-degree angle, according to what science teaches. So if in fact we've gone around in the orbital path and we're now the solar hemisphere is tilted more in the direction of the sun, the sun would not go in an even keeled, even flow around the surface in a circle. It would be more of an ellipse because you're leaning at 24 degrees. So as you spin, the sun would dip below the horizon and come back up. And you get what I'm saying?
I do. The video talking about, I think, is a guy named Robert Schwartz.
It is Robert Schwarz, so you already know what I'm talking about. I got it right here if you want to see it.
Yeah,
Somebody-
now
Oh, sorry.
again, this is up for debate, but he claims he filmed that actually at the pole, at the South
Right.
Pole.
Right.
And so if theoretically, if he was at the South Pole, it would look like that.
No, again, even if you're at the South Pole, you're at a 24-degree. First of all, no one has gone outside of the earth and taken a picture. No one. That's a fallacy. Okay. And so that whole picture that I'm saying, picture in your mind in itself is a fallacy. It wouldn't do that. Listen, there's no such thing as the South Pole.
Why, if there is a 24-hour sun in Antarctica and we figure that out in December, why would that not change your position?
Because I don't know really what the reason is. See, I don't really know how there would be a 24-hour sun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Okay. I do know that almost every aspect of our lives in this world is deception. I do know that what we've been told about the cosmological construct of our world is deception. Just because I don't understand how something works doesn't mean, well, I throw everything else away. That's not going to shake up my understanding. What I don't understand is not going to shake up what I already understand. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. I think that you'll find on the globe side, they probably are using the same argument. Like they would say, just because we don't understand how you can have gas pressure in a vacuum doesn't mean we're going to throw out everything else.
As you can see, any evidence brought by flat earthers can be easily debunked, even when people try to provide themselves with some kind of authority as the evidence. So the next time you hear any clown like Bledsoe or Whitson gets it, you as a friend that worked in NASA and claims the earth is flat, point him to the truth. Point him to this video and let's see what lie they will invent next. Also, since you like this video, you should watch my flat earth video that I have added here next.